Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. This is another timeless reading, and I've decided to call it the For Somebody reading. So my intention overall is that this one finds the person or people that it's meant for. It's definitely not going to be for everyone, so if you're finding that it's not resonating for you, it's probably not your reading. You can definitely still watch the whole reading because it's always an intention of mine that anyone who's drawn to any of my readings will gain something from it, whether it's just an insight or a bit of wisdom or even just the opportunity to see something from a different perspective. So if you happen to be here, I think you are meant to be here. Welcome, and let's see where this goes. So without further ado, these are the cards for today's spread. If you're interested in the decks that I've used, I will list them on a slide at the end of the reading. On this occasion, I took 2 cards from the bottom of the deck, and that was because the first card was a Major Arcana card, and immediately behind it was another Major Arcana card. So I don't tend to ignore it when that happens. So 2 Major Arcana cards suggest this is going to be a fairly significant reading, because Major Arcana cards are always about strong archetypal energies or about important life experiences and lessons. The first card out was the High Priestess card, and it was followed by the Hanged Man. These are both spiritual cards in different ways. The High Priestess is someone we know to be spiritually connected, and she's also deeply intuitive and psychic. She's basically connected to all the mysteries, really. The Hanged Man is slightly different. He's someone that's been put in a challenging situation. And in fact, it's a situation that has felt inescapable. So what happens with the Hanged Man is that over time he accepts his fate and he learns to see things with a new perspective. In the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, he even develops an aura, which of course symbolizes enlightenment. And in fact, in that Rider-Waite-Smith image, he looks like he could easily free himself, but he isn't even trying to. He just seems content where he is. With the Hanged Man card, I always think of that movie, Groundhog Day. And that's because that was also about someone who was stuck in something he couldn't escape. And really, there was nothing he could do about it. If you're too young to know that movie, it's basically about a man who relives the same 24-hour period of his life over and over. He goes through all the emotions that you'd expect him to go through, and he tries all kinds of things to escape. And of course, nothing changes. In the end, he surrenders by accepting his fate, and he starts finding ways to enjoy each day. He learns to enjoy his interactions with other people, and he starts trying to learn new things, and ultimately, even though he has to deal with the same day every day, he actually grows and evolves as a person. He basically figures out that the only thing he could change in his situation was himself. And actually, that ends up being the thing that sets him free. As I said earlier, this is someone who has learned to be at peace with their circumstances. In fact, the circumstances don't really even matter anymore. And what that actually means is that even though they might be trapped from a 3D matrix physical realm perspective, from a spiritual perspective, they are already free. They're spiritually liberated and profoundly enlightened. So like the character Phil in the movie, this person can enjoy and make the most of their life, even if it's not exactly the life they would have chosen for themselves. I'm also thinking of that saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. That's a quote from Zen Buddhism. And here in this reading, I'm seeing that as meaning that this person is just carrying on with business as usual. The only difference between what they used to do in their everyday life and what they do now in their everyday life is that now they're at peace, where in the past they were struggling with their circumstances. So wow, we're talking about someone here who is very spiritually enlightened as well as strongly connected to the spiritual realm. In terms of the astrology of these 2 cards, the High Priestess relates to the moon, which rules Cancer, and the 4th house, And the Hanged Man relates to Neptune, which rules Pisces in the 12th house. Those are both water signs, so that's quite a strong elemental energy here as well. The Divine Love Oracle card actually seems to relate to what I've said so far. On that card, we see a person who has got wings, which fits with being spiritually liberated. And the card has butterflies in the artwork, and that fits with Hanged Man energy too, because part of a butterfly's life cycle involves being trapped in a chrysalis. And I'm sure that feels pretty inescapable too. When we see a butterfly, we're actually seeing a creature that has liberated itself. So the message on this Divine Love card reads, when you offer everything to the divine with detachment, you begin a love affair with spirit. So that's saying that this is someone who has surrendered to the divine. It talks about offering everything to the divine and being detached about it. I'm taking that to mean that they don't attach to anything. They trust God to look after it all. They trust that God will provide for all their needs and that God will help them with all their problems. And that's actually reminding me a bit of Buddhist monks, because they lead very simple lives and they rely on God to look after their needs. And in Buddhist countries, the monks are looked after by the communities that they serve. Their work is spiritual and they're supported while they do this work. So Buddhism's kind of come up twice here. Don't know if that's relevant for someone. Now, because this is a for somebody reading, I'm fairly confident that if this was your reading, you would know by now. So if none of this is resonating for you, you're welcome to stay to the end of the reading, but obviously you could stop watching at this point as well. The person this reading is for seems like a very spiritual person who has had a very specific kind of challenge to overcome. The next oracle card kind of stumped me at first. When I first saw it, I was thinking, what? What do you mean, no? What do you mean? No to what? But then I immediately got a channeled message about what this card is about. I don't normally start channeling until I start writing, so it's unusual for me to channel anything just while I'm looking at the cards. This is probably only the second time I've got a channeled message while I've been laying out the cards. And maybe that means my channeling abilities are evolving, which would be nice. But anyway, getting back to this card, I think Spirit just wanted to make sure that I got exactly what this card was about. And what I channeled actually made me laugh because the message was not about the no so much. It was the thumbs down. It was basically like thumbs down and booing from the crowd and yeah, an unenthusiastic response from people. So it seems to me like this person did something in public and it kind of tanked. So I feel sorry for the poor person, but it was quite funny when I channeled it. But the funny thing is that this card is from a chakra-based deck, and it's actually from a section that doesn't relate to any chakras. It's called the rainbow section. And so the background of this is all rainbow colors, and you may have noticed I actually chose the slide background because it matched to this card. But anyway, rainbows to me are about blessings. So for me, I look at this card, and even though this card says no and pessimism and unlikely and negativity and thumbs down, the rainbow energy says different. And I find that pretty sweet. And so I guess what this means is this person shouldn't take the crowd's reaction to heart. What they did is generating blessings for them. Obviously, those blessings probably aren't coming from the crowd that they failed to impress, because I think the crowd was pretty much like, you suck. But rainbows represent divine blessings. I just had to take a break while I was recording this, and I took my dog for a walk because it was getting dark. And when I was on my walk, I saw a pair of rainbow lorikeets. And they're beautiful birds from Australia. So if you don't know what they look like, you could Google them. They are beautiful. And I do see them around my suburb, but this is probably the first time I've actually seen them on my street. But anyway, I'm taking that as confirmation that the rainbow energy of this card is meant to be here as well. But I also see pairs of birds as being about love, and to be honest, rainbow lorikeets often seem to be traveling in pairs. So while this isn't a romantic love reading, there is a card here that reads Divine Love, and it talks about a love affair with Spirit. So what I'm getting is that this person is loved by Spirit. And so this is like Spirit saying, oh, don't worry about that crowd. I love you. You did great. It's so sweet. All right, I won't go into the next oracle card just yet. I'll go back to the tarot cards. The first tarot card here is the Two of Wands. This card is typically about seeing an inspiring new path opening up, and it's about the early stages of planning and preparation as someone starts to work or starts to go down that path. This image is a bit different to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith image. Here we see a giant bean that has sprouted and started growing, and the two ones are being used as supports for the vine that has emerged. That's interesting imagery. The thing that stands out is that this bean is huge, and the size of it is almost making me think of Jack and the Beanstalk, because that was a story about a massive beanstalk. And it seems to me that a huge bean is going to grow into a huge plant. Obviously, in the Jack and the Beanstalk story, those beans were magic beans. A couple of things about the background stand out too. The sun isn't in this image, but it is shining brightly because we see the rays appearing on this card, which makes me think of the sun card, which is a really positive, happy card. That reminds me of divine blessings too, because it suggests that the sun is shining on this person's life. The other thing is that the birds in the background seem connected to the rays of the sun, and for some reason it's reminding me of the Eight of Wands card, because that often shows fast incoming energy. The Eight of Wands is about rapid progress or change, and I guess with it connected to the sun energy, this is all divinely guided. So yes, Spirit is definitely sending love to this person. And the third oracle card, I'll go back there now, incredibly also shows a young plant growing, and there's sun and rain in the image. And that makes me think of the sun card energy again, but it's also making me think of rainbows, because obviously sun plus rain equals rainbows. Anyway, the sun and the rain are helping this little plant grow, and again I'm thinking of divine support. This card is called Planting Seeds, and it has the keyword intentions. I just looked at the couple in that first tarot card, and I see their intentions are also to see this plant grow well. So I'm seeing good intentions from both this person and I guess, sorry, I just had to step away for a bit. But yeah, so I'm seeing good intentions from this person, and that's why they're being divinely supported, I suppose. And actually, it's interesting that we're talking about a bean plant, because the nerd in me is remembering about how legumes actually take nitrogen out of the atmosphere and release it into the soil. They're known to be plants that help replenish the soil and enrich it, and this actually helps other plants grow. Again, that is suggesting good intentions, because if this person is like this plant, they're not just thinking about their own growth, they're wanting to make things better for other people too. They want to inspire, encourage, and support other people. The second tarot card here is the Nine of Cups, which is a wish fulfillment card. The ladybird in this card is prominently in the foreground, and ladybirds are like rainbows. They're also a positive symbol because they represent luck, good fortune, and prosperity. In the image, we see people celebrating, and I see glasses raised in a toast. So again, this is a very positive card. And again, there's no sun shown in the card, but it looks like a lovely day because we see these people are having a picnic and the sky is blue. So I'm feeling again that the sun is shining on this person's life. The last tarot card is a little bit interesting because it is quite dark, and that doesn't sort of go with the rest of the spread. But this is the Ten of Swords card, and it is a card of something ending permanently. This image shows a person at a gravesite, and there are some other symbols on this card. I see the crow, which is a spiritual messenger, and I also see the moon. And both of those symbols do make me think of the High Priestess. But the moon card in tarot also comes to mind, and that's a card that relates to our subconscious fears and shadows. Perhaps that is what is being permanently laid to rest here. The moon in this card is a full moon, and the clouds are clearing to reveal this moon in full clarity. I think at the time I'm recording this, the next full moon is, what is it? It's probably about 2 weeks away, and it will be the full moon in Capricorn. So this may relate a little bit to that. I don't know. But I'll keep going with this reading. So anyway, I feel the subconscious fears and shadows are being revealed and put to rest. As I've mentioned, the Sun and the Moon card, I will just mention their zodiac associations because that might be relevant. The Sun is a Leo card and the Moon is a Pisces card, so we've got the Piscean energy in this reading twice. In terms of timing, I'm seeing the Hanged Man in winter, and then the story seems to be unfolding in spring and summer, and these cards are in sequence here. This could just be metaphorically about the change of seasons in this person's life, but here in the Southern Hemisphere, we're actually in winter now. And so while this is meant to be a timeless reading, if you're watching this right now and it's winter where you are, this looks like the tough cycle ends with the winter and something new and wonderful is going to emerge in the spring and then be followed by happier, more prosperous times in the summer. And in the future after that. I was kind of wondering initially if I needed to clarify that Ten of Swords card. I'm not really sure that I do. I feel like I've got it now, but I do feel a little niggle like I need to pull an extra card. I'm not sure if it will actually relate to the Ten of Swords, if it's just a message I need to finish this reading with. Anyway, I'll stop here. I'll pull a message card and I'll show you what that is on the next slide. Okay, so this is our extra card. I've just blown up the message on it so that you can read it more easily. It reads, "It's possible to work your way out of doubt. Practice focusing on good thoughts, like what can be and what is becoming, instead of what is." That's a great message, and I actually think it relates to both the Ten of Swords and the overall reading. I think this is someone who struggles to believe that good things can happen to them, and that probably is the sort of belief that stems from their shadow self. The other problem with that sort of belief is that it sort of blocks manifestations, it blocks blessings from coming in because it kind of keeps your vibration lower than the things that you're trying to attract in. So this is a little bit about improving that perspective or changing that perspective. The advice on the card is about practicing positive thinking in relation to the future. So that's believing that the future can be great, even if it doesn't necessarily seem that way right now. I think affirmations or mantras that you regularly repeat might be a good way to do this. Some examples that have just come to my mind are, everything is always working out for me, my dreams are coming true, the future I've dreamed of is already emerging. These are just some of the ones that have come to me right now. They might work for you, or if they don't, you could take some time to write down something that does feel right for you. In fact, if you do create your own, maybe you could share them in the comments section. I would love to read them, and they might be helpful to other people as well. And I actually just realized I've put the new card right next to the planting seeds intentions card. And that's making me see these positive affirmations and mantras as the seeds that should be planted in order for the future to be a positive one. It's those positive intentions that will lead to things improving. And as we see in that intentions card, the universe is going to be there with the sunshine and the rain that will help the seeds you have planted grow and thrive. I also think gratitude exercises are a great way to train your brain to be more positive. And it's true that the more appreciative you are of your current blessings, the more blessings you'll attract. As humans, we often focus on what's missing in our lives without realizing that we're already blessed in so many ways. We already have so much more than a lot of people out there. So that's an important thing to remember as well. So I would suggest, some gratitude kind of exercises every day, maybe 3 things you're grateful for every day, and just kind of journal that and just make that a habit, because then you start seeing the positive things that are out there, both out there and in your life. All right, I think that's it for this reading. I hope it did resonate for you. I think for those of us who are just starting out at something, I know I'm just starting out with YouTube, so all the divine blessings in this reading would be more than welcome. So if you're like me, feel free to claim these blessings. I'm definitely going to. And I feel like we should repeat one of these affirmations 3 times just to anchor it in and close the reading. I'll do that on the next slide with the one that I am most drawn to. I'll read it out 3 times, and I hope you will also do this with me. Everything is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. And so it is. So at this point, the reading is officially over. Thank you for staying till the end. I did decide I would share a picture of rainbow lorikeets for those who haven't seen them before. And yeah, they are so beautiful, aren't they? In terms of decks that I've used today, the tarot deck was the Wheel of the Year Tarot. The original oracle decks I started with were Divine Abundance Oracle cards, Energies of the Soul Oracle cards, and Wisdom of the Elders Oracle. For that extra message card, I pulled a card from the Love and Magic Oracle deck. The reading didn't really go into the crystal for today, but the crystal for today was selenite. Finally, I'd just like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed it, I hope you will show your support by liking the video or by making a comment in the comments section. You can share the video if you think there would be other people interested in seeing it. If you would like to see more of my work in the future, you can also subscribe to this YouTube channel because then you'll be notified when I upload something. If you're interested in checking out my blog page on Facebook, I've just put an image of what that page looks like on the right-hand side of the slide. Obviously, your support over there would be very welcome too. I hope that I'll see you guys again at a future reading. Thank you. Bye.